looking for. And for some people, it's fear of the unknown, fear that they might get rejected, fear that they're not equipped for the conversation. Whatever the case may be, the conversation doesn't get had. And it's interesting, just like the things in life that are most precious are free, most of those things people ignore, just like conversations. But there's so many lessons that could come from having conversations, especially with people that you probably wouldn't even think to have that conversation with, because they're not necessarily the group of people that you might hang with or that are in your circle. But if you go out of your way sometimes to find these conversations and find these people to build relationships with, so that these conversations could happen consistently, then the amount of learning that takes place is intense. It's incredible. And you get to start looking at life from a different lens or a different perspective. And that's one of the beauties that come from having these conversations. And that's one of the blessings that we get to experience as human beings. There's so many different kinds of people, different ideas, different backgrounds, different skill sets. And having a conversation can start with a hello and then evolve and go from there. And we all have options. Whenever we step outside, there's people around, there's opportunities to engage in conversation and create friendship, build relationships from those friendships that last long and provide value. And it's really a two-way street. It's a give and take situation. It's not all one way. Although some people, it's the perspective they have, a constraint value, I think is missed a lot of time. If we continue to improve ourselves, to keep getting better, get more skill sets that other people can find valuable, and then just keep sharing, that in itself, again, thinking about getting there 1% a day, it's fun. I think back to a conversation that really changed my life. Hello in the insurance industry for a living. That's my career path, if you will. But conversation was took for to change directions from being a car salesman, a car sales professional at a Ford and Lincoln dealership, to moving over to the insurance industry, which I had no clue I could provide so much value until I sat in an office with my insurance agent to go over an insurance review. Most of you guys might have had the same conversation with your agent at one point or another, where they go over your limits to make sure that you're covered properly, and if anything were to happen, that you have the right coverage in place. And when I sat there, had that conversation with my agent, it was my wife and I and my daughter, who was probably 3 or 4 years old at the time. She's now 12 going on 13. So that conversation went really well with my agent. All my limits were good. I didn't need any extra coverage or need to change my policy and increase my limits. But he asked me one simple question, everything for me. He said, God forbid if anything were to happen to you or your wife right now, would the other one be able to take care of that beautiful young lady that I see you holding right now without any stress, pressure, or, hardship? And the answer, of course, was no. There definitely would be hardship. It would change the lifestyle that we're living if one of us suddenly had to take over and start doing what two people were doing. So from that point on, I said, man, I think this is a good career path for me to go into, because I was already looking to leave the car dealership and selling cars. If you guys don't know, that's a very demanding career as well. And if you're not at the dealership on the day, if you're not at the dealership on the day that the customer you've been working with all week is coming to pick up that vehicle, you risk losing half of your commissions. Not a piece of your commissions, but half of your commissions. So imagine you did all the work negotiating this deal to come up with the nice price that your customer was happy with, and then they decided that on your day off was when was most convenient for them to come in and pick up this vehicle, and your colleague says, hey, let me go ahead and deliver the vehicle to your client, and even though you spent hours negotiating and coming to an agreement, I'm just going to take it back, have it detailed, bring it up, sync up his phone, give him his owner's manual, and tell him to have a nice day. And if there's $1,000 profit on that deal, now we're looking at 500 for two people split. Now, what do you guys think? Let me know, is that fair? If you were the one who did all the work up front to negotiate and spend hours going back and forth and find a deal that made sense so that you can take home $1,000 commission for yourself, knowing that you got a family to feed and a roof to keep over your head. So for me, that wasn't exciting. I wasn't too excited about feeding other people and taking care of their responsibilities. So that's when I started looking seriously for a different way to make sure that I could take care of my family. And that's when I found that insurance agent who shared with me the fact that, hey, my grandson is actually getting ready to take over this agency, and I have two agencies and I'm getting ready to retire. So he'll take it over and start running it. And I said, whoa, your grandson, how old is he? And his grandson was probably a year or two older than me. So I said, hey, if your grandson could take this over and run two agencies, I'm pretty sure that I could work with your grandson, and me and him could make things happen. And that's exactly what we did. He introduced me to his grandson, and from there we were able to work together for a few years, and I was able to get really familiar with insurance and liability and the basic things that a lot of people don't understand just by having several conversations with people about insurance, liability, right? And I moved on from Allstate and did a lot of different things, but now I'm still in the insurance industry because I got an opportunity to go from Allstate to the health side of things. Rather than giving people quotes on homeowners insurance or giving them quotes about their auto, I was giving them quotes about their health care. And I had another conversation, speaking of conversations, with some gentlemen today. And I think healthcare should be something that isn't left up to private businesses that are for profit. And that's one of the big problems that we have today when it comes to healthcare. Because if it's all about making a dollar and these companies are for profit, and you got to imagine you're going to bring in people that are going to do what's best for the company. And if what's best for the company doesn't necessarily mean it's best for you and I, then whose agenda, if you will, are they going to go after if the companies are writing the checks, right? So again, there's a lot of different things that you can learn just by having a conversation. And I just want to encourage you, if you're watching, if you've watched any piece of this, that's the point. Conversations can create so many opportunities. And I believe so many people miss out on these opportunities because they're simply scared or just refuse to have these conversations. It's free, costs nothing. You just have to be willing, put in a little bit of effort, and go out there, meet somebody in real life or online. It doesn't matter as long as you're engaging, right? As long as you're doing what you need to do to make the connection and add value, then you're off to a good start, in my opinion. So I talk a lot about opportunities, man, because I see them all around. And sometimes opportunity is not necessarily about money and financial. It could be about skill sets or just being aware. And sometimes there's people that aren't aware at all, and it costs them, not just financially, but peace of mind, right? If you're stressed out, for example, about bills constantly, and you're looking for ways to make ends meet, that could cause stress, and that stress could lead to health issues. And if you don't have good insurance, then guess what? Financial issues, health issues, that combination, not a good mix. But sometimes the solution isn't even necessarily having more money. It might just be having the right conversation with the right person to get the information that makes the change for you. So, again, I don't want to be on here too long, but I do want to encourage you, if I leave you with one nugget today: conversations are free. You can have as many as you want. Just like this life that we're living and experiencing right now, nobody knows when their last day is gonna come. So take advantage, do what you gotta do, be the person that you are meant to be, regardless of what anybody else might say or anybody else might think. You go out there and be a person was put on a day